Hey, good morning, Powur Hitters. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. My name is Jarrett McAllister, your mentor and co-host, alongside a few of my fellow mentors here. Mr. Brunasso is out on special assignment today, so he asked me to host this meeting, which I was excited to do for the topics that we're going to be discussing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so like every week, we're going to jump into some success stories. Does anybody have a success story that they would like to share?
I do. This is Miles Sherwood here in San Diego. I was able to talk to a friend that I haven't talked to in about 15 years, and we were in a business, prior business together, and he joined last night doing his training right now. His name is Michael Lopez in New York City.
Welcome, Michael Lopez. A great job, Miles. So rekindled a 15-year relationship, huh?
Yes, sir. Just go back and speak to other people that you worked with and other businesses, other ventures, back from high school, back from college. So yeah, it works. Very cool.
Very cool. Well, welcome. Great job with that. Anybody else have a success story they'd like to share?
I do, Jared.
What's up, Christopher?
What's going on, brother? 15 KW signed over Sunday, right after the first Vegas Freedom Tour. So we had great attendance over the first Vegas Freedom Tour. You know, JB came in town, Larry came in town, and really successful event. And we're thankful that we got their support. You know, thanks.
Awesome, man. Great job. 15 KW. That's a whopper. Where was that at?
There's east side of Vegas, older home, maybe a 18-year-old home. So we're doing site survey tomorrow for it. So
beautiful. And how did you generate that lead?
It's a referral from an ambassador.
Nice. Any objections you had to overcome to close it?
It's a hot topic, but I think this would be a good time to discuss further, but not today. It's always the tax incentive.
Oh yeah, taxes can be complicated.
It's a hot topic.
Yeah, that's another topic for another day for sure. But yeah,
not like, today.
Yeah, not everybody pays taxes, you come to find out, or not enough to be able to take advantage of these tax credits. So sometimes you got to get tricky with that. Well, good job on the closing, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jared. Hey, Jared.
Hey, Larry.
Chris closes more deals on Sunday than anybody I know. Sunday's his day. Like last Sunday, you had 2 of them, didn't you? Like 2 Sundays ago?
I had last week 2 Sundays over breakfast. Yeah. I usually invite them out. I do home visits now. Vegas people are kind of just more casual now, and you know, since a lot more in-home appointments are being done, they want to be treated well. You know, Vegas is a VIP town, so invite them over breakfast here, invite them over lunch, small lunch. It's not gonna hurt your pocket, you know. But they love to be treated like VIPs, and they sign right there, you know.
Yeah, that's a nice strategy. Now, are you inviting them over to your place for breakfast?
No, I'm meeting them in a good place like a coffee shop, you know, a small mom and pop local store that we can have, you know, pastries and coffee. It's nice to support the local business around here too.
For sure.
They see that you know, as a local business guy, we support them, and you know, they're in a different environment and they're more comfortable. And you know, all the questions are asked. You know, objections are taken care of, and for me it works. And you know, I'm just going to continue doing that.
Awesome, man. No, hey, whatever works, right? That's good. And are you presenting on an iPad, computer?
Yes, on an iPad, and they can access documents on the iPad as well, or on their phone. And it takes me about an hour and a half to meet with them on that day. And then, you know, if they want to sign up as ambassador that day, I'll sign them up as well. I think this client in North Vegas that I signed last week just finished her enrollment today, so she signed as an ambassador too.
Awesome, man. Well, great job with that. Anybody else? We got time for another one more success story I'd like to share with the group.
I I did have a pretty good Thursday last week. I had a 5-4.
Hey,
Well, it's kind of a quasi 5-4. I have a customer who's a referral to me who is building houses, and he gave me all 4 new homes on Thursday. Gave me the okay to go do that, and then later that day, I got my second call. It said customer I've been working with for quite some time, doing lots of major follow-up. He gave me the approval to move forward, sent him the documents, and so ended up getting 5 homes on Thursday approved.
nice, man.
Wow.
Way to crush
That's
that.
awesome.
All right, all right. So with that being said, great job on
Yeah.
success stories, everybody. Or does anybody have one more, or is that it? Okay, we're moving on. Real quick, just some future trainings we'll go over. So as you know, today we're going to be hosting training with me and some closers talking about closing the sale and the follow-up. Very important. But then next week, we're looking at, we have a Texas roofer mentor, Jason Reedy. Sorry about that, Jason. Jason Reedy's going to be training on roofing. From then, the following Tuesday, Mr. Scott Crumb, mentor. What are you going to be training on, Scott?
Oh, it's actually going to be mining your own business.
Okay, very good.
Play on
Excited for
words.
that. Following week, or it looks like 2 weeks after that, we're going to have Mr. Brenton Schultz, who's our ops manager, on here. And then the following week, on my birthday of all days, we got Jillian Todd, YouTube expert, going to be doing some solar panel training. Always, you can go on powercalendar.com/events to see what's upcoming. I mean, obviously, we host these trainings every single Tuesday, but there's a lot more on powercalendar.com. So with that being said, we're going to hop in. I have a panel of mentors that we're just going to kind of have a freestyle little roundtable discussion about some topics that mean a lot to me. And that's closing sales, right? And we do a lot of product training, which is great. A lot of knowledge on inverters, different financing options, but really we get paid when we close deals. And so there's a few things that I want to talk about. One being where we're pricing out our deals these days, right? Selling solar today is not the same as it was a couple years ago, last year, even 6 months ago, right? It's a very competitive market, so it's good to know your market, know your price point. So we're going to talk to some of these mentors about where they're pricing their deals. We're also going to talk about what they use as a competitive advantage. You know, sometimes you have customers who say, hey, you know, you guys are kind of all the same kind of panels, same type of inverters. Your financing is even similar. What separates you from other companies, gives you a competitive advantage?
Just kind of.
What's your,
Oh my God.
what's that, Tammy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We're also going to say, what's your approach? Find out what's your approach to the close. Listen, we all try to be one call closers, but we know in solar that's not always the case. And then when you don't close it and they're saying, send me a quote, or, you know, can I get, you know, a copy of your quote? What are you sending them? And what's your follow-up approach? So hopefully you guys are going to get something out of this. I know I will. That's why I picked the topics. I like learning from the best and seeing what they're doing. Success leaves clues, you guys. So with that being said, we have Mr. Luis Perez, Mr. Scott Crumb, Mr. Paul Leone, and myself. We're all going to be talking. And then listen, if we got some other mentors that have some ideas that like to chime in, some thoughts, feel free to do so. You know, iron sharpens iron. So with that said, Luis, let's start with you, my man. Why don't you give a little quick background about yourself, how long you've been selling solar?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Jared. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. Always an honor to share with every single one of you guys, along with some experts who probably have more knowledge and more experience than I do. But I'm grateful to be here. I've been with solar actually just 1 year. It's been such an exciting ride, and thankfully, it's been a good one. It's been a good one. I've been in sales and direct sales since I was 18 years old. Different companies, been in network marketing, had a water dealer. We're selling water softeners, and from there we made a transition to solar last year. And last year we had a pretty good year. I was able to become a mentor within 1 month in the company and grow a business. We have over 100 consultants in our organization, and now, thankfully being a top mentor, if you will. But it's all because of the platform. It's all because of Powur, and also because of all the other trainings that we have here, and also to the leadership that we have, to Jonathan Bernasso, JC, which is the person who introduced me to the company. And that's a little bit about me. So last year, like I said, we had a pretty good year. First time in solar. Had if you guys have heard, I've had the opportunity to sell 10 deals in 1 week and 5 deals the following Monday. And that was it. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about how that happened. And I think the conversation we're going to have today, we're going to talk about how that happened. So, because it's not just, let's just go out there and sell it. It takes some work. It takes some time to actually do those 10 deals in 1 week.
Absolutely. Well, right on, man. It's a pleasure to have you on here. 10 deals in a week is phenomenal. I don't know what the record is, but that's really, really good. I'm sure your paycheck felt good after that too. Pocketbook's on swole. Right on. Hey, we also have Mr. Paul. I call him the solar ninja, man. This guy's a badass. Mr. Paul Leon. Real quick, you don't need an introduction for most people, but for others, just tell us quickly how long you've been in the solar industry, and a little bit about yourself.
Just a little bit over 12 years. I was one of the first guys to work at Solar City, which became Tesla. So I was there for about 7-8 years, worked at Sunrun for a while, a lot of other big companies, and I've been with Powur for about 2 years now. And Powur by far is the best. You kind of get the best of value, the best pricing and flexibility. Even though we're big, we work with local partners, and we can get some flexible stuff done that you can't do it like a Tesla or a Sunrun or a SolarMax or companies like that. So I love it, man.
Right on, man. Well, glad to have you here, Paul. You've helped me out, especially in the beginning of my solar career. Anytime I had a question, I'd reach out to you. You always holler back and help me out. So much appreciated.
Gotcha,
and then, Mr. Scott Crumb, why don't you give a quick intro on yourself?
Scott Crumb, thank you for having me. This is my 8th year doing solar. Was working with local companies for the whole time. Found Powur by accident, and I agree completely. It's by far the best company I've ever worked with. Love it. Love the platform. Love the teamwork. Very, very excited about Powur.
Cool. What market are you in, Scott?
I'm in Central Valley. I'm in Fresno specifically, but I do work as far as Sacramento as north and Bakersfield south. But now that I have Powur, I'm now in 22 markets. I closed my first deal in Vegas already, and I have one working in South Carolina.
Cool, man. Well, welcome to the platform. You've been on fire since you got here. Who brought you on?
I brought myself on, but I found Jonathan's videos on on YouTube, and reached out to him and did a Zoom meeting 30 minutes after reaching out to him, and an hour after that I was signed up.
Right on. Awesome.
Can I say something real quick, man?
Yeah, go
So
for it.
going to what you said, Scott. So because of those videos, I got a dude in Murrieta that was searching for solar, and he saw the video I did on time of use like a year and a half ago, and he called me because he saw the video. He's just a random dude, and I got a 20 kilowatt job out of it.
Wow.
Gotta love those videos, man. If Bernasso asked you to do a training, holy shit. Sorry, do a training. Hell, he puts that up there. It's got like 300 views or something like that. And I made like $6,000 on it. And I was like, how'd you get my name? You saw me on YouTube. What are you talking about, man? And it was really cool.
So pro tip, you guys, if you guys all heard that, if you have a topic you would like to train on, talk to Bernasso, talk to myself. we'll put you on here. And as Paul said, man, it drives traffic and can lead to sales, can lead to recruits, can lead to a lot much more. So, well, thank you guys for taking the time. I hit you guys all up and said, hey, these are some topics that are important to me, but I know everybody would like to learn from. So, the first topic, let's talk about pricing a little bit, right? So, what, Paul, you've been doing this, you said 12 years. You've seen different types of models where it's red line, marking it up, profit models. But what, over the past 12 years, from pricing out a deal back then to a couple years ago to how you're pricing it out now, how do you go about pricing out your projects?
I'm really quick. Okay, if you can mute yourself, there's someone like talking to like someone and it's interfering with everything just real quick. I'm sorry, man. Say the last part again, bro.
I was just saying, like, how do you go about pricing out your jobs?
Well,
what are your thoughts in place? What kind of rules do you have in your mind when you're pricing something out?
So I'm always focused on referrals. I want these people to refer me someone else. So I rarely do I price like where I'm making a ton of money. I mean, I still do pretty good, but I always try to keep it where I know that I'm going to beat Sunrun. I know that I'll beat Solar Max, LA Solar in Southern California, at least. And I try to be there. There's going to be actually Solar Max recently has got really small. Solar Optimum's got really small in their pricing. So I try to keep it where it's a good value to them. And I know who they're probably going to shop with, because almost everybody shops with Sunrun. A lot of people try to shop with Tesla, and we're never going to beat them, but I can try to, be close where I'm still profitable for myself. Every once in a while I just finished a battery job that I made 11 grand on, and it was on accident. I didn't mean to make that much money. I probably wouldn't have made that much money, but it worked, So I tried to
Sonova.
I did. And
Dude, those
battery,
are the magical sales, man, that sometimes you go, that's my commission. I didn't know. Yeah, it's weird how that happens sometimes.
Yeah, it was 4 batteries, so the margin was like $8,500 on them.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't sell it. I would never sell a battery, but they wanted the batteries. But anyway, so I always try to be better than who I know they're probably going to shop with. And then when I kick in the different financing options and solar insure, that's where I always try to lead initially.
Okay, you mentioned most people shop with Sunrun, and they do, right? They're all over the place. If you go to Costco, you're going to get a quote from Sunrun.
For sure.
How does Sunrun price themselves? Like, where are you, in your mind when you're like, they're shopping with Sunrun, how do you go about beating that price?
Well, so I was there for a couple of years, and I still have friends there. So does Brunasso. So we're pretty confident in what they charge. I know generally they're going to be around $4 a watt with a 2.99 interest rate on a 20-year deal or a 10-year deal. So I try to go around there. I also know what they're going to offer equipment wise. So our monitoring, for example, being able to use Enphase. I don't really pitch Solar Edge all that much because I'm an Enphase guy, but with the panel level monitoring, with being able to set up proactive alerts and stuff like that, that's stuff that you don't really get with Sunrun and bigger companies like Solar Max. They don't give you that info because they don't want you to call them if you see a panel is down. They want you to call them if you notice the production as a whole has gone down by like 10%. So I know that they're going to be around $4 a watt. I know that their service is going to suck. So I'll immediately send them to Yelp and stuff like that versus what our Yelp ratings are. And I'll hit on the technology freedom and stuff like that they get with us. Okay.
And you said $4 a watt. Now, obviously that can change, right? I mean, depending on the size of the system. Is there like a profit margin target that you try to go after?
Sometimes, man, obviously, so with Sunrun specifically, or with some other companies on a smaller job, and I'm California, on a smaller job where we might lose because, Powur keeps their $1,500. And if it's not a 6 kilowatt system or more, sometimes our price per watt might actually end up being a little bit higher than what Sunrun does. So I'll keep that cognizant as well. Or like a Solar Max or Solar Optimum, they'll be like around 350 or high threes for that type of thing. So I try to get bigger jobs. And honestly, where I focus my effort, if I'm meeting with someone that's a 5 kilowatt job and they're heavy shopping, I'm probably not going to win that deal. And I'm not going to spend a shit ton of time on it because I'm busy. I got other stuff to do. So if it's a referral from a really strong source and I know they're not shopping, I'm going to be good. But if it's under 5 or 6 kilowatts and they're going crazy everywhere, I'm only going to make $1,000 on it if I got to beat those other companies anyway. So I can go do other stuff to make $1,000.
Okay? And that's a great follow up one. What is the minimum amount of commission that you're trying to earn on a deal to where it's worth it, worth your time, worth taking their phone calls, worth tracking the project?
Well, I'll do the minimum job I'll do is 4 kilowatts. So we're doing a lot of these ADUs now and new homes that are coming. They'll have their certifications that say, hey, I only need 3 kilowatts to make this happen. I'm like, sorry, dude, with me, it's 4. And then if I can make $1,500 on something like that, I'll be okay with it,
Okay. Sounds good. I'm right there with you. Anything less than $15 to manage, a construction project and to put it all together, it's got to be worth your time.
Especially those new homes, man, because you're going to have to babysit that project for a long time. I mean, a lot of times the house hasn't even been started yet. So you're going to have to wait on it for 6 to 8 months or something like that.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for sharing that. Luis, I kind of want to hit you with those same questions. You sold 10 deals in a week, which is phenomenal, right? How long ago was that?
That was during it was during the summer contest. So yeah, it was about August. Yep.
Okay. And where were you pricing these deals? Like what, do you go by price per watt or do you go by profit margin? A little bit of both? How do you go about it?
You know what? I don't really focus on the margin, how much money I'm going to make. I might try to make my focus more on how much I'm going to save the customer, right? And here in California, we sell a lot on savings. So
Correct.
if I can cut that bill by 70, 60%, or 50%, 60%, 40%, I feel comfortable presenting that. Now, Paul, every customer is different. I think you gotta also know who you're presenting to. If it's a referral, I think you can probably put up your margin a little bit, right? If it's a referral, you feel pretty confident. But if like Paul said, if you know that they're shopping around, you might want to be a little bit flexible with the margin, and especially if it's like Paul said, shopping around with Sunrun, and so you might want to just not focus so much on the margin. So I don't really focus on the margin, more on how much I'm saving the customer. I'll also play with the dealer with the different financing options. So it's important for you to know the dealer fees on those financing options, which one's the best one, which one's going to bring the overall cost down, right? Because depending on what financing option you choose, you can actually see the total cost of the system. So there's a bunch of different little factors, right? Or what the customer is looking for, overall cost or a low payment.
Right on. Scott, I'm gonna throw that at you as well. What are you pricing your deals at these days? Or and what factors do is determining how you're pricing it?
Exactly. And everything they've said is very, very accurate. But I think we have a tendency as salespeople to what the old days they used to say, drop your pants too fast. And because we want to get the deal, we're so desperate to get the deal. And so I'm not that guy. I have a tendency to go on the little higher side. I really don't want deals that I make less than $3,000 on. I do look at margin. I do sell mostly by savings. Here in the Valley, PG&E, the highest rates possible. It's incredibly easy for me to cut somebody's bill in half and still make $3,000 or $4,000 on the deal. And then make your extra monies on add-ons, batteries, things like that. If it's a bigger system, make more money. I mean, I've made, just a few deals I've done with Powur so far. My biggest one, I think, is already like $11,000 profit margin. Or not profit margin, commission. So you know your customer, know the referral, but don't. One of my favorite sayings is, "I'll never get beaten apples for apples." So I don't mind somebody shopping me as long as I have set an appointment to revisit that. In other words, I don't give a quote and say, "Hey, let me know what you think." I give a quote and say, "Great. So, and you're talking to two more people, fantastic. So then, can we meet up next Tuesday at 6 o'clock and let's go over this? Let's make sure that we're getting apples for apples. Who has the best deal?" I can always go down with my price. I can never go up. And I shouldn't say never go up, but it's difficult to go up. It's easy to go down. And then when we start comparing apples for apples, and I can really show our value, my value that I'm bringing to the table. That's my key.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously it does vary per situation. For myself personally, in the beginning, I was like, oh, dollar price per watt adding. I was like, man, these are huge commissions. Nailed a couple of those in the beginning. That's not always the case, though. I've noticed it's very competitive these days, right? I mean, especially in California, everybody is shopping online. You got Energy Sage, you got Tesla, they got their neighbor who, so they could have 3, 4, 5 quotes. You don't want to come in super high, but you don't want to undercut it. And you especially don't want to be the first proposal and come in with a low price, right? Because then they're going to shop that around. So you got to start somewhere. I love the matching apples for apples, letting them know that you do have a price match apples for apples and you'll never be beat apples for apples, and explaining that there are so many different factors involved to it. One of those major factors is the financing, right? Here at Powur, we're lucky to have multiple different financing options. We have them all, right? So that leads me to another question. What's your go-to financing option for your clients? And do you give several different options? Do you stick with just one? Which one do you lead with? Scott, why don't you go ahead and start there?
So I have a tendency to lead with the Good Lead 25-year at 1.49 just because of the value. But I have a lot of conversations with my customer long before I get there. I'm trying to find out what they're trying to accomplish. My favorite question is, are you a cash buyer? I love cash. So there's a lot of communication there. Do they have the ability to use the tax credit? If not, we now can move over to the PPAs, things like that. So I don't necessarily go to that, but if they're just not sure what they want, I'll usually lead with the 25-year 1.49, only because I'm selling savings. Hey, your bill right now is averaging $322 a month. With this product, I'm giving you 20% more power, and I'm at 160. How does that sound? There you go.
Okay, so 25-year 1.49. Luis, what's your go-to? What's your favorite loan product these days?
Favorite loan product, Sunlight. I'm a Sunlight guy. I do lead with the 20-year 0.99. We can still show savings big time, and it's a much smaller dealer fee, right? So that you keep the overall cost of the system down. And like Scott said, it is important to have a conversation with the customer and see what their end goal is. So during my presentation, I always ask, whether they're planning to pay this cash, if their goal is to pay it a lot faster, or they just want to maintain a low payment. And if they do say, hey, you know what, I do want to pay it off faster, I do offer the 12-year 0 interest, which I've won so many deals, and I've actually beat so many quotes from Sunrun, from SunPower, because of that loan product, the 0 interest. So it is important to know your loan products. It is important to know the dealer fees that are on this loan products, and work with the mentor that obviously knows all these loan products.
And by working with Sunlight, Luis is going to get a Disneyland vacation too.
I think I already do.
Attaboy. Dude, I got 1099 $3,500 from Sunlight for that Disneyland vacation. So it's a $3,500 value apparently.
Owie, but you had fun. It was worth it.
It was definitely worth the $750 tax edition.
For sure.
Oh man, yeah, there is no such thing as discounts on Disneyland. No matter how you end up getting, you still end up paying. I'm actually going in a few weeks, taking my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old, so that'll be fun. Paul, I know you, we all know you're a Sunlight guy, man. Parading for those guys.
Well, I
And
mean,
rightfully
it's
so, they're
better.
great. You get the rewards, like you just said. I mean, I think they have some of the best financing options on the planet. Personally, I lead with it as well. What's your go-to financing options?
Well, I'm like Luis. I would go with the best. So even if Sunlight had rewards, if their pricing was worse than GoodLeap, I would go more with GoodLeap. But I'm like Scott, where I talk to people before I get there because everybody's a referral for the most part. So I've mostly determined if they're going to pay cash or not before I go with that. Or recently, for some reason, I'm getting a lot of rental properties. So I'm trying to, or they're building rentals or something like that with the ADUs or whatnot. So I'm trying to determine tax liability situation and can they get the tax credit and all that stuff before they get there. Another thing I really try to do is it has to do with competition and financing. So we have GoodLeap, Sunlight, and then Pace if we need it. In California, one of the things that I'm running into a lot with companies that are bigger, the Powur can't do this because of Powur's size, but these little local credit unions that are doing 2.49% with a 6-point dealer fee. So I try to kind of nail down who the competition is before I get there also, so I can kind of tailor my price pitch toward that also. Because if we do a 2.49 with Sunlight or a 2.99 on a 12-year, which is really what those credit unions specialize on, we're pretty damn close to the other company's cash pricing versus doing a 0.99 with a 25-point dealer fee or whatever that puts me $8,000 or $9,000 over the top. So I tailor the financing a lot to what they're doing with the competition. After I've had, are you trying to save money and blah, 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 like that? What's your main goal? But I really focus on what the competition is doing.
Awesome. Yeah.
If I can add on to that.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Here in the Valley, we have a credit union called EECU. It's a teacher union, credit union, but anybody can really join it. Last year, they have a solar program or an energy program, and that's a 12-year, 4.5 point interest rate, 0 fees. That's very, very, very competitive. So for a lot of my customers who have good credit and didn't mind doing something like that, I would take them away from my own product and say, hey, let's make this a cash deal. Let's print this out, go down, get a loan from EECU, and we'll make this a cash deal. You can pay this off in 12 years. I actually won a lot of deals by moving them over to the local credit union. No,
Time out.
I'm
going Zach Moore, Saved by the Bell here. Time out. Scott, is that a customer facing credit union?
Yes.
So the customer can just walk in there and get the loan and they'll pay us. It's not contractor facing.
Yes, exactly. And they pay cash.
Do they only deal with that area?
They're a Central Valley product, EECU. They're a big credit union in the Central Valley, but it's customer facing. It becomes a cash contract between you and the customer. They take your bid and they take the actual hard copy, go to the credit union and say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. They get approved, they get the check, and they actually put the money in their account, and then they pay us as a cash deal. 4.5 point interest rate, 12 years, 0 fees.
I've spent hours and hours looking for a customer facing program like that. So I'm going to look it up when we're out of here, bro. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. And that's why we got these mentors on here dropping golden nuggets. Beautiful.
One last thing, just so you know, that was a special program they had. They're normally 6.5 interest at no fees. I don't know if they still have the 4.5 going or not. That was they ended in January 1st. They may have extended it. I haven't closed the deal this year with them, but last year I did a dozen deals with them. So just double check it.
Doesn't Sunlight have a 0? What is it? 6.99 or 7.24, something like that?
Yeah, it's 6.5 or 7 on a 10-year, and then 7.5 on a 20-year. So if the credit union's gone back, then we can do the one thing. The one thing, so that everybody knows, if you do run into a smaller company that does use that credit union financing, it's going to be full doc. They're going to have to submit pay stubs and bank statements. The payment reflects the higher balance right away. So we're with Sunlight and GoodLeap, they're lending you money based on the net cost after the tax credit application for the first 18 months or whatnot. The credit unions don't do that. You're paying the full nut right away, and then you have to pay down the loan. So sometimes, that could be several $1,000s depending on the size of it. And that adds to the overall cost if you're running into one of those low price companies. So those are things to kind of keep in for overall costs and stuff like that come up.
Right on. And then real quick, I'll just, kind of give my take on this. Obviously, knowing your customer, having, diving in with them ahead of time, finding out what their goals are, seeing if they are a cash buyer, knowing if this is a long-term property for them, right? If this is their dream home, if it's their dream home or they're going to be here 20, 30 years plus, I love putting them on a path to ownership. And that 12-year, 0% interest, Luis, like you guys, I've won so many deals with that product because they go 0 interest, 12 years. And it's really not that much more, like if it's normally 119, it might be like 170 or something. But I also tell these guys, hey, you guys can afford this. You're still saving money and you're going to own it outright sooner than later. So 12%, 12 years, 0%, my absolute fave. If I do go long-term, those are that Sunlight 20-year 1.49. I've come to find that the dealer fee is a little bit lower. Like it drops the cost, the top number by a couple grand, by just that 0.5%, but yet the monthly is like $2 or $3 difference. So check out that 20-year 1.49. And then I give them an option of cash, because that's the other thing. I know if they're shopping, and this is for me, and you guys can talk about this a little bit, but if they're shopping, I know other companies are going to offer them a cash price. And if I just come in and I don't even explain that we have a cash price offer, that can blow me out the water. I've had that happen before, because they go, these guys were $10,000 less than you, this and that. So I usually present 3 financing options: 20-year 1.49, 12-year 0%, or cash. You guys have thoughts on that?
I agree. You never don't talk about cash unless from the very beginning they tell you that I can't go cash, I'm looking to finance. Then you can ignore it, but otherwise, that has to be part of the subject always.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. And it's all about having that conversation with the customer. So it's very important to really, really have that conversation and do do those discovery questions to see what the end goal for the customer is, and then present those different options.
The key to folks that might be newer, when you have to explain the difference in price between cash and financing, I almost say the best way, you can't put it in writing. You can't put the difference in writing, because it can get us all in trouble with like Sunlight or Good Leap or whatever, because like fear does not exist in this dojo. Dealer fees do not exist in this dojo. So we can't really talk about those all the way. So you can explain it. I always explain it as, well, banks don't make money charging 0% interest. They just don't, right? So we as the contractor have to buy your rate down for you. Therefore, we have to charge you more. I always use the word we as the contractor have to pay it, because if we say the customer is paying it, then there's all kinds of truth in lending issues that they can bring up. And if they were to call Sunlight, we can get in trouble, and we can lose our ability to use their loans.
That's a good point, Paul. Yeah, never mention the term dealer fees.
Yeah, bad word.
That's like no.
How I address that is I offer a cash discount.
Yeah, I do too. Scott, what do you drop it down?
It's funny, it kind of almost always equals the dealer fees.
I don't do that. No,
I know.
no, I drop it 15%.
I need to not do that.
I do. What I do is 15%. I play around with the margin, and I have it all written down. So if they say, hey, what would the price be on cash? They say, well, we could give you a 15% discount because cash is king. Because I feel that if you all of a sudden hit that cash button, drop it down 26%, you got a lot of explaining to do. And they look at you like you're trying to gouge them.
Right.
So
that's true. But you also have to be careful just on the in writing stuff, because if a customer, So I only bring this up because Tony with Sunlight is a friend of mine also. And he told me that one of his big Southern California contractors just got kicked out because we are not allowed to give cash discounts. Like if a customer calls Sunlight directly and says, hey, Larry McKinney gave me a $15,000, 15% cash discount, but I don't want the cash discount. I want the financing price. Sunlight literally will come to us and say, hey, honor this shit or we got trouble. So just be careful what you put in writing.
Got it. Good point, man. Well, hey, good stuff all there. Let's jump over to, and this is probably everyone's least favorite part of the presentation. At the end, you go for your close, right? Which that's my favorite part. I usually do an option close. Do you want to go 20-year? Do you want to go 12? Right? Something along those lines. Do you want to do the battery without the battery? But when at the end they say, you know what, Luis, this is great. We like you. You're referred by our neighbor. This sounds good. This is the first, you're the first person we've talked to. We actually going to talk to another neighbor who referred us somebody. We got Sunrun down the road. Can you send me your quote? And then, we can get back to you. That right there, no one likes hearing that. How do you guys handle delivering all your goods on a platter to these people? Because in my opinion, you are literally just giving them permission to go shopping and then to go find a dealership that's just going to undercut your price for the most part, right? I mean, that's the feeling I get. So, Luis, how do you go about that?
I agree with them. I say, great, that's awesome. You know what? I will probably do the same thing, right? So I agree with them, and I said I will send over the quote, and I do have an email that I send out with all the system specification, which actually Jonathan Bernasco shared this, and the quote, and I do attach the 30-year warranties, and if they're solar savvy and they want to know a little bit more, I do attach sometimes the spec sheets. And one thing I do tell them though is, I already know that they're going to go shopping around, right? They're telling me that. So I say, hey, just make sure, consider comparing apples to apples, right? And make sure they're offering you the same system size, same panels, same inverter, right? I'm an Enphase guy as well, thanks to Paul. And and I tell them, make sure they're offering you the same warranties, right? And very important, guys, it's always to, always keep your posture. I'm always very confident that we're the best of the best, and make sure the customer could see that you're very confident in what you're offering. And they see that throughout my presentation. So I'm, I'm kind of happy that they're going to go shop around so they can see that we are the best option. So I let them know, go ahead, do it. Just make sure you compare apples to apples. And I let them know we're still the best that you're going to find out there. And I had a lot of customers come back like, hey, you know what? You guys are slightly a little bit more, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, even $4,000 more. But we're going to go with you because we like you, and because we like Powur, and we like the warranties. And because also, you're very honest and open from the beginning, just, hey, go ahead, shop around, but come back to us. Beautiful, beautiful.
Scott, how about yourself? Well, actually, I'm gonna save you for last because we talked about you're the follow-up king.
Okay.
Why don't we go, Paul? How do you go about that? It sounds good, Paul. We like what you said. Your experience in this industry is, second to none. But we are going to do a little bit of shopping. Can you send me that quote?
Yeah. So the way that I want to, I'm not a king of one call close at all. I'm like Luis. I'm like 50-50. But in the opening of my presentation, I have a slide that shows this is what we're going to do today. I'm about education, and there's no pushy sales or anything like that. I'm going to walk you through what you have now, the agreement with your electric company. I'm going to walk you through how your solar program works. And then, assuming you like how everything looks, it's really easy to get started if you're comfortable doing so, and we can rock and roll from there. How does that sound? So I kind of get them thinking about it. Well, I do it right away because I want to let them know, hey, we can get shit done today if you want to do it. But that doesn't, that just opens the door a little bit so that when I ask at the end, and I always ask, so, hey, we've seen everything. Which of these programs do you think is for you? Well, are you comfortable rolling forward now? Or something like that. One thing I do though, all the time to piggyback on what Luis was saying about solar insure. So again, it's very important to know your competition. And I almost try to scare them a little bit with the value of Solar Insure. Just over the last 2 or 3 years, Peterson Dean, top 10 in America, gone. Sullivan Solar in San Diego, one of the top solar companies in California for years, gone. Empire Solar, one of the biggest EPCs in the country, about 8 months ago, gone, bankruptcy. Cleantech Solar, one of the biggest EPCs in the country, filed bankruptcy like a month ago. Sungevity, who filed bankruptcy 5 years ago on my $11,000 commission, and then came back, filed bankruptcy again, and left again. So I always, if they're going to shop, I want them to know the value of that insured warranty that they're going to get. And I let them know, hey, man, there's like 6 companies that offer this. Not everybody does. I don't care how strong any company says they are. They're, especially these low price companies like Solar Max or Solar Optimum, they are one bad month away from bankruptcy. Like literally one bad month. Like Peterson Dean. Peterson Dean was a killer company. 3 months of COVID, drop sales, done. All their customers done. Nothing. No roof warranty, no nothing. So I really try to lean into Solar Insure and, you know, leave them with that when they leave, if they're going to go shop around.
And, you know, playing devil's advocate, well, what's to stop Solar Insure from going out of business, Paul?
Well, they're backed by big insurance companies, so their policies almost work like mortgages. You know, Jared, how you do a mortgage with Wells Fargo, but like 2 years later, it might be with Bank of America,
Yes.
something like that. So that's kind of what they do with the insurance policies. They'll write about 100 of them, and then they'll sell it to Lloyd's of London or other big insurance companies. Have you heard of Lloyd's of London before?
Yes, I have.
Most people have. So it's going to be with a big insurance company that's been around for decades, and that's who actually carries your policy for you. It's not some company out of Tustin.
Good stuff. Great stuff. And then Scott, you know, as we talked before this call, you know, you said, hey, I am the king of follow-up. And we all know, you know, money's in the follow-up. And a lot of sales reps, myself included, I'm not the best at the follow-up. I'll follow up 1 or 2 times, but we get busy. So talk to us about how you deliver your presentation at the end. They want to get the quote. They're going to do some shopping. What's your method of following up?
Well, you know, obviously, even if you're doing a 50% one-time close, which is an amazing number, I'm definitely not that good. That's 50% of the business you're still not getting. And that's a lot of business you're not getting. Most of us are not getting 75% of the business, you know, after the first time close, if we're lucky. So follow-up is the key. The simple thing to remember is never, ever end a conversation or a presentation without scheduling the next one. Always schedule the next one. Put it on your calendar. Now, if I have customers that say, hey, Scott, you know, we're not doing this for 6 months. Will you reach out, you know, call me back in 6 months? 9 out of 10 solar salesmen will never call that person. I immediately go into my calendar. I go 6 months out. I put everything at 5 o'clock in the morning. That means it's a warm lead. That's something I'm supposed to do down the road. I put that customer's name in my calendar 6 months down the road. When that comes up on my calendar, I call them. I said, hey, by the way, you told me to call you in 6 months. Here I am. How you doing? My longest sales process, I don't know if this is bragging or saying I'm really, really bad, is 2.5 years. I closed a deal after 2.5 years from the time I first met the person. Now, obviously, that's not the norm. Normally, it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 contacts. The key is I always will reach out to this person until they tell me no. And then I want to know why they told me no. I can't tell you how many times I've taken a no and turned it into a yes. Many times. You know, oh, apples for apples. Let's sit down and talk about it. But always schedule the next call, the next meeting, next email, and keep doing it 1 week out, 2 weeks out, 1 week out, 2 weeks out, until they tell you yes or no.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, follow-up is everything. And there's a line that you have to navigate between being persistent or pushy, right? Or nagging, right? So do you follow up? Do you typically call? Do you text? Do you email? Combination? Rotate through those?
So one, I asked permission, first of all, so it eliminates the problem. They could be mad at me. Hey, I'm not a pushy salesman, and I really am not a pushy salesman. I understand you need a week. Do you mind if I give you a call? Would you like to set a time to actually talk, or do you want me to just give you a call sometime next Monday? Get their approval. I always do calls, and then I'll follow up with text if they don't answer. And then it's just like, if they're, they ghost you, right? We've all been ghosted a million times. That's okay. You ghost me, I'm going to put you out another week, and I'm going to call you again. You ghost me, I'll put you another week. If I get ghosted 3 weeks in a row, I might put you out 2 weeks. But eventually, and then and my text might say something like this: man, I must have done something really bad. I wish I would have done a better job. I would just like to know if I could still be of service. It's okay. Give them permission. It's okay if not. If you've gone with somebody else or changed your mind, I would just be happy to know about that, so I can take you off of my list and I won't bug you anymore. Give them permission to say no. I love people telling me no.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, no's get you to your yeses, right? You got to get through the no's. So that's fine. And then Miles, thank you for, the fortune is in the follow-up. That is correct. That's the money, the winning big deals in the follow-up. Paul, you're back.
Well, I got cold, so I had to go put on my Super Bowl champion Rams sweatshirt because it's a little cold here in Victorville.
Unreal. Owen, can you believe this guy?
They're like the most pathetic franchise. They didn't even have a full streets for their parade. Guys put on a sweater.
All right.
Hey, on that note, I mean, if you do email follow-ups, like I do the same thing. Luis does. I'll send a follow-up with tech and all that jazz. There's an app on Google called Boomerang, and Boomerang, you can set in to know if that person opened the email. And if they didn't open the email, then hey, just send us some friendly follow-up a week later. Then they're going to open it up. Because we know how it goes. I mean, especially when you have, I imagine our jobs being busy. If these guys are making $250,000, $300,000 a year, their email chain probably sucks more than ours does. So setting that follow-up, really, it's actually, you're doing them a favor. Because you're getting your email back up in their chain. And I would highly suggest everyone checks out this Boomerang email app. The first 10 are free. So that's something I've done. If anyone else has any other tools.
Good pro tip. Thanks, Owen. Yeah, no, Boomerang works. I know HubSpot Marketing offers some email tracking as well if you use that for a CRM. This is all really good stuff. Have you guys gotten something out of these trainings? Go ahead and say so in the chat. I definitely have. I love I will not be beat apples to apples. I will say that moving forward every time. I've also thought about, telling people, and this was a closing tactic. I believe it was in the mattress industry, but basically saying, hey, if you want to move forward today, I have a apples to apples price match guarantee all the way up until we install your system. So you could feel confident if you want to get your project going today, that if you were to come across, the same deal for less, that we would match it. No problem. That's how confident we are in our pricing. Because chances are once they move forward, once they got the site survey, once we're working on design, are they really going to take the time to go back and try to beat that deal? Sure, sometimes, right? Sometimes they might be walking through Costco and the Sunrun person's like, oh, come on, let me give you an opportunity for a quote. But more often than not, they're not. They're going to end up going forward with you. So it's another way to maybe go after that one call close, to let them feel confident knowing that you have no problem matching an apples for apples deal moving forward. So any thoughts on that?
No, Jared, I just want to just going back on follow-up, the follow-up, the fortunes on the follow-up, and, quick little secret here, those 10 deals I closed in that week, half of those were because following up. The client decided to move forward, and I had to present it to them when I first got started with Powur, and they moved forward that week. So the fortune's definitely on the follow-up. And also I love what Scott said, to make those agreements, to ask for permission. That way, when you're following up, you don't feel like you're being pushy. You don't feel like you're bugging them. So I'll make sure you do ask for permission and set the next time you're going to follow up. And like Jonathan says, drip on them. Meanwhile, right? So I do send, let's say the holiday falls in, I send a text, hey, happy Thanksgiving, or, whatever it is, or hope you're, that way you build that relationship with the customer as well. And remember, people buy from people they like and they trust. And if you build that relationship, they buy from you.
Absolutely. And another thing I also like to do, if I know that they're shopping, I know this isn't a one-call close, I get on their side of things. I explain to them that I work for them, that I'm the expert in the field, and that there's a lot of different options out there. I even land go back to the CPUC, basically saying, hey, I need you to get 2 more quotes. I couldn't even feel good about moving forward unless you did get a couple other quotes, right? I say, so let's do this. What I want you to do you have the other companies in mind? Do you know who you're shopping with? So I try to find out. I say, try to get these over the next few days, get a couple of these quotes, and then let's meet back at this time. And I schedule it right there, Google Calendar. I edit the Zoom meeting time frame. I say, bring me the other 2 quotes. We'll lay them all out together. We'll compare apple to apples. We'll see what you like the most out of all of them. And then what I'll do is I'll make sure you get the best of everything. How's that sound? And they go, oh, wow, really? You're willing to do it? Absolutely. So I don't mind being first, but I definitely want to end up being last, right? So scheduling that follow-up at the end, encouraging them to get the quotes, if you know that they're going to go that route, is something that's worked for me.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, you guys, it is 11:02. I like these meetings kind of wrapping up all within an hour. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here, and then we'll stay open for some Q&A at the end. So with that being said, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And recording stop now.